So this is the MakeCode interface for JavaScript. We're going to set up and run programs just like we've been doing in class, but we're going to use this different language. JavaScript's a much more versatile language. It's used to run a lot of applications on the internet, and it's type-driven as opposed to blocks that we use in class. So let's begin. So we're going to start with the traffic lights program that we started with. Now this program needed a loop that would go forever. Now there are two types of loops. We could have a loop that goes forever, commonly called a while loop, but in this context it's called something different, or a for loop, which only loops a certain number of times. So if I start typing FOR, you'll start to notice that a context menu drops up with all these different options. Now if I just press the down arrow and I select forever, you'll see that it says a function forever, blah, 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 blah. That's what we want. So I'll just hit enter now, and it will insert this code for me. This is a really useful function. It will prevent you making typos or spelling errors, which could derail your programming. Now, I'm just going to tab or indent my various lines of code as we do them. This makes it much more readable for the user. So to start with, we want to make the vehicle stop when it sees red. So this is a conditional statement, or an if. So just like in pseudocode, we type if. And you'll see that if is actually one of the words that's there. So we are on the right track. Now we need to put in some brackets. So we go Shift and put in our normal brackets. We're going to put something in between those in a moment. But to finish our if statement, in pseudocode we write then and if. But here we just put in some curly brackets. Now let's consider what happens up here. This is if something happens. So when we did our pseudocode, we said if we see red. So to see red, we actually have to activate the color sensor. So how do we detect the color sensor? Well, in the middle here, it has a whole heap of things that can help us. So let's click on sensors, because that's what we're interested in. If I click on sensors, another menu pops up, and we come down and we see our color sensor. Now it's got color 1, on color detected, color 1 pause until color detected, color 1 is color detected. That sounds like we want to know if we are seeing that color. So we could just click on that and it inserts it for us. But it's messed up our formatting, so we're going to clean that up a little bit. So let's just interpret this pink and black text. It says sensors, because we are accessing the sensors, dot, and then we're accessing color 1. Now why is it called color 1? Well, it's the color sensor, and down here in our diagram we can see that it's connected to port number 1. If our color sensor was connected to port 2, we'd have to go color 2, or color 3, or color 4, whatever is appropriate. But for this model, we're just going to have color 1 in sensor 1. And then is color detected? That is a function. And it's taking an input of 0, the color to detect. Now, how are we going to work out what color to detect? We're going to find the color red. So the way we do the color red, we could type in color, capital C, and it says color sensor color. That's the first option. That sounds good. I'm going to click on that. But I want a specific color. So if I put in a dot, it suddenly gives me all the options that my color sensor can detect. And here we are after red. So now we've got if our color sensor in port 1 detects the color red, and that's going to return a value of true or false. Yes or no. They are the only options. Now by default, this is going to give us a true and it will execute. However, we're going to make this check very explicit. So we're going to go equals true. Now often you won't have to do this, but for now, since we are beginning, we're going to make it very explicit. until you are familiar enough to drop some things out and still understand what's going on. So what happens here is it's going to ask itself a question. If the sensor in color 1 detects the color red, if that is true, then do whatever is placed in this bracket here. And what is it going to do? Well, we want our vehicle to stop moving. What needs to change? The motors need to change. So maybe we could just type in motors. M-O-T. Oh, look, motors has come up. Motors. Now, we've accessed the motors, but we haven't really worked specifically out which ones we want. What we did earlier, we pressed the dot, the full stop, and it gave us some options. So maybe we could try that again. Oh, it does. It gives us a whole heap of options. It gives us large A B, large AD, B, whatever, and down to medium motors and all these other things. How about we just consider these options here? We want to have 2 motors running, and we might have them connected to A and B ports. So large AB, that means large motors connected to A and B. It will control both motors at the same time. That looks like a good option. Let's select that one. So now we've obtained access to these motors, we need to make them do something. Oh, I'm not really sure what to do. Maybe if we hit the dot again, it'll give us some options. And it does. Let's look through them. Is ready, ramp, reset, run. Run, that might be useful later when we want the motors to move, but we really want them to stop when they see red. I mean, we could set run to 0, but maybe there's a stop function. Oh, there's a stop function. Click stop. And then we're just going to add the closing brackets and a semicolon. So if we run this now, down here in our simulator, I hit play, and it boots up, and then our motors are red. Well, I can hit the different colors and nothing happens. I guess, well, nothing's gone wrong. It hasn't crashed. So maybe this is correct, but maybe we need another statement up here so we can compare different things. Now, instead of just writing everything out again, I'm just going to copy everything. I'm going to hold Shift, down arrow, Control C to copy, move down, and Control V to paste. Now I have the same condition running twice, but we're not going to worry. We're going to change that. So this time, we're going to consider the yellow light, or amber. So sensors, color 1 is color detected. Is it detecting the color yellow? Okay. What am I going to want it to do if it's detecting yellow? Well, I don't want it to stop, so I'll get rid of that. I'll just hit the dot. And I want it to run. How fast do I want it to run? We want to go slow. I'll put in 20. And then a semicolon at the end. Okay, now I've got loop forever. If I see red, stop. If I see yellow, go at 20. Okay, let's go over here and run our simulation. Okay, running. So let's hit yellow. Oh, and the motors are turning, and you can see that they're turning at 20%. Good. What about red? Hit red and they stop. And just to be certain, I'll just go to yellow again, and they move, and red, and they stop. Everything looks like it's going well. But there was one other traffic light we had, green. So I'm just going to copy this again. And this time, I'm going to look for green. And when I see green, I'm going to go at 40. I'm going to go twice as fast. Okay, let's run this program. Okay, so green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red. It works as expected. Now, at this point, we would download our program or save it, whatever we want it to do. But now we have a working program that matches what we did in class. And if we did transfer this to our robot, it should run as expected.